fuck it. I'm gonna rank every Overwatch character for Overwatch 2. I've only played support, but I think I have a pretty good grasp on the meta and how it will go. I'm kind of sick, so bear with me. My voice sounds kind of whack, but right off the bat, we're starting with Ana, which is very. I would say she's pretty much easily the best support character in the game, because a lot of a lot of CC got removed, so sleep remains. I don't know if the duration is the same, but it doesn't matter because it's still sleep for like 5 seconds or something, as well as Bionade lasting for as long as it did. Plus, there's less shields for it to potentially get blocked by, and basically tanks are the bane of Bionade. So one less tank means more Bionades, and if the other team's tank gets Bionade, if your team is any good, you pretty much win that fight because that's the perfect opportunity to go in. So also Nano Boost is good and synergizes with a lot of the characters that are very strong. So Ana is the best support hero in the game right now. Ashe, she's pretty much just. I don't know why you would pick her over Sojourn, to be honest, which is pretty telling about where Sojourn. Is she really that bad? No, she's not that bad, but Sojourn is way better for like a mid-range. I just don't understand. I don't understand why you would pick Ashe. You know, Bob is still a very good ultimate. He's even better now because I don't believe you can sleep the whole duration. Maybe you can. Maybe you can sleep Bob for most of its duration. Anyway, you can't hack Bob anymore to just completely disable him. It'll only do it for like 2 seconds out of like the 5 or whatever. However long Bob lasts, I don't even fucking remember. Doesn't matter. Ashe is not that good. She's not bad, but why would you pick her? She's not that good of a mid-range fighter. I would rather either just have Widowmaker or have Cassidy. I don't know. Baptiste is also. It's hard to put him because is he really that bad? No. I think his window has become almost better than his immortality, which is a big shakeup, but he's like B tier, you know. He is good at dealing with long range or like mid-range enemies, which is where most encounters will take place now. So immortality is not as valuable, but his primary fire and his ult are a lot more valuable. Dude, they just fucking do this. They just do this. It pisses me. Stop! Stop, please. Anyway, Jesus Christ. I'm not gonna fucking re-record this. It's a fucking Overwatch 2 tier list. Nobody gives a shit. I don't even give a shit. I'm just doing this because I can. So Bastion rework. No more toggle turret. No more stationary turret. You get to be mobile for like 6 seconds when you press shift, and then his right click is not a heal. It's like a bouncy grenade or something. It's hard to get value out of. Shut up! Shut up! It's hard to get value out of. And then his ult is 3 artillery strikes, which are pretty good. I like his new ult a lot more. It's kind of like Zarya ult from League, if y'all ever played that. But Bastion is... Stop! 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 Oh my god. Bastion is like C tier. He's not that good. He's fine, you know, you can make him work, but he's just he's not really that bad. Would I rather have Bastion or Ashe? I'd rather have Bastion, I think. No, I wouldn't. Brig is also C tier. No, I don't think she stuns on Shield Bash anymore. Rally is better. I mean, not really, but just because Rally will give you armor through Bionade, and you're gonna get hit with a lot more Bionades. I think Rally is more valuable now than it was before. But people are like, oh, you know, Shield Bash does 50 damage again, so she can one-shot Tracer. No, she can't. She can't one-shot Tracer. You know, if the Tracer stands still, she can, but the Tracer is not going to stand still because you don't stun. So, you lose, and, yeah. Brig's fine. She only works in, like, very close range comps. Like, she works decently well with Doomfist and Reinhardt, but otherwise I wouldn't pick her with any other tanks. Because those two are, like, the only, like, two really brawly characters. I mean, like, Zarya can be, but I don't know. I'd rather have, like, a Zen or Mercy or Lucio with as my second support with Zarya. So Brig is whatever. She's not that good. Doomfist is A tier. Doomfist is pretty good. Is he A tier? I don't. You know, a lot of it just revolves around Ama, to be honest. And Doomfist does not delete or like negate anything. You know, if he's using his power stance to block, he's gonna get slept, and he's going to eat a Bionade. But he's a noob stomper, really. You know, if a team doesn't know what they're doing, he's gonna have a fun time just diving in there and, you know, just disrupting shit. But against a coordinated team, he'll just get kind of melted and pooped on. Like, his defensive capabilities are just kind of, like, okay. They're, like, nothing really to write home about. So if he dives in and blows all his cooldowns and then he's just power blocking, like, he doesn't really get much out of it. Like, it's not like a Sigma eat where, like, you know, he gains shield after it. Like, it just gets blocked and then he gets a big punch, like, whatever. But Diva is really good. Diva is very flexible. She is played with a lot of the strong, not support, but assault classes. I don't fucking remember. DPS. A lot of the encounters are mid-range, which she excels at. And then fucking... Oh my god. Fucking... Okay. So most of the encounters are mid-range and projectile-based, therefore she can shut them down a lot. She can eat Sojourn's Railgun, from what I understand. Or maybe it can only be deflected, I don't know. One of the two encounters works like that, I don't fucking remember. Anyway, Diva's really good. She gets 3 seconds of Matrix instead of 2, which is a pretty large increase. So, Diva's one of the best tanks right now. God, that's gross. Echo is... Would I rather have Echo or Ashe? Probably Ashe. Echo's kind of whatever. She got... Like, most characters got, like... buffed or reworked. But Echo got nerfed, so... Why would you really pick Echo? A lot of her value was, you know, being able to go above, like, shields and, like, you know, pressure the backline. But it's a lot more brawly. So, she doesn't get... She also, like, she would usually clone tanks, and there's one less tank to clone. And also, she doesn't get the crazy amount of health. But Echo's still not bad. But I just wouldn't pick her at the moment. But Genji's A tier. Genji is... He didn't get, like, any changes at all. But the fact that there's one less tank and more people for him to, like... more viable targets to, like, assassinate him and less peel means that Genji is just more effective. Plus, you're pretty much almost always going to have an Ana on your team, so Nanoblade is always going to be an option, and that'll just instant win fights basically. Um, Ball, dude, I don't think I've seen a single ball. I don't think I've seen a single ball in Overwatch 2. I don't know who's playing ball. Um, what the fuck did they even do to him? I don't think they really did anything to him. I think ball is just kind of. Is he D tier? Is he like worse than any of these characters? Like no, but like what? Would I pick ball? No, I would not pick ball. There's one less character for him to um get his E off of, and people are less grouped up in general, I feel. So he gets less value out of, dive bombing on like everybody and just being a disruptor tank. Like there's not much to disrupt. It's very like scrappy, like arena shooter, and I don't think he's all that good. So fuck ball. Hanzo's B tier, I'd say. You could make an argument for 8. Nah, not really. He's just okay. Um, you know, Hanzo's strength mostly just goes by the nature of like the maps. He can just kind of peek around corners and just blind fire, and there's gonna be less shit to block his bullets, so he's just gonna insta kill a support for free sometimes, and that will just buy you a lot of time and potentially give you a big ult advantage, and you'll do fine. Like Hanzo's fine. Junkrat is kind of bad, I'd say. A lot of Junkrat's value was shield break, so his trap got nerfed because it doesn't stun. It just disables movement abilities, and then you could walk out of it. It does a lot of damage, but like how often do you feel like you really get hit by a Junkrat trap? And if it's a lot, then you should reevaluate yourself more so than Junkrat's power. Anyway, Lucio is hard for me to evaluate because I want to play Lucio a lot, but I don't think he's all that good. I think he's fine. He's serviceable. Like, I'd play him with, like, a Rein or maybe a Roadhog if you want to, but, like, yeah, I would still probably play him with a Roadhog, to be honest. But otherwise, I wouldn't. And Rein and Roadhog are not that strong, so he's not the best, but he's very self-sufficient. Plus, he can kind of peel for like his Ana or like Zen or whatever, and he's like a good brawl character, so he's okay. With more healing available, like at all times, like he gets to use speed a lot more, which makes him a lot more enjoyable to play, and I think he's more fun than he is effective. So Cassidy, I want to say he's B tier. Like as far as like mid-range attack, like DPS, like I don't think he's better than Soldier or Sojourn or Sombra. Like I'd probably put him like 4th, to be honest. Or actually no, because there's also Genji. I'd rather have Genji, and I'd rather have Reaper. So he's really fallen from grace without the flashbang. And Cassidy's just okay. He's never a bad pick, but he's not amazing. And then there's Mei, which I think is, I don't know. It's hard because people don't understand just how weak Maywall is. Like, Maywall is a lot weaker. But, I don't know, man. Like, she does decent damage, but I'd rather have Cassidy still. And these are all put in no particular order, to be honest, like within their respective tiers. Mei is just not that good, really. You know, I'd rather just have somebody that can do a lot of damage fast rather than, like, you know, the utility of the slow is valuable, but it's not that valuable. Like, death is just a better CC. Like, it's simple maths, you know. You have them out of the game for 5 seconds, or you have them slowed for, you know, percentage. Mercy is worse than Lucio. I don't know. It's so hard to say that because I do so well with Mercy. Like, I don't, somehow I can just jump in there with my Doomfist and just not die. Like, I don't really know if that's just me being good, or if Mercy's surprisingly good, or if my teammate or the enemies are dumb. But I seem to get a solid amount done with Mercy, but I think that's partially because she also does very well with damage boosting, like Soldier and Sojourn. Um, More of her value is placed on the damage boost rather than the healing output or the self heal, because everyone has the self heal, and also the ult is, you know, situationally, like, can win a team fight, but the healing output isn't that high. But also, there's not that many people that need to be healed, you know, at a given time compared to before. And Moira is also S tier. She's very flexible. You know, she can go from attacking to defending, you know, on a dime. She doesn't need to expend her healing orb nearly as much. She can just use it to pump damage and just, you know, spread out that damage amongst the whole team and soften them up for your whole team to just dive in there and fuck everything up. So I think Moira is probably the second best support because so much utility is gone from the game, like, you know, CC utility, that now it's just like, you know, what team can out damage the other team, and Moira is really good at that. Plus she has AoE healing, which is pretty nice and complements, you know, one of Ana's weaknesses. You know, she could just tap, you know, the DPS, and then they'll just do the little healing over time. So Moira's pretty good. Also, she still builds coal pretty fast. I think they nerfed it, but it still feels pretty fast. Anyway, Orisa is easily the best support or tank of the game. She's so fucking good. The javelin does so much damage. Her ult is kind of shit, but, you know, it doesn't matter. Her left click is fantastic. Her spinny move deletes projectiles. It doesn't give her a shield like Sigma, but she's a lot more flexible. Plus it has like knockback. You can do like a funny knockback like into the pit type beat. And yeah, her ult, I don't really understand how to use it as well. Plus she has fucking, I think she also still has Fortify, so she's got like fucking 3 abilities plus an ult, if I'm remembering right. Is that right? I think so. She pretty much just hard counters Reinhardt. Like, Reinhardt, if he charges into her spinny thing, like, he will just keep charging, like, into the spinny thing, and then she can fortify and block it. You know, fortify nullifies the shatter. You know, she can just fucking blow him up with like her ult. I mean, he can block out with his shield, but, you know, Orisa's value is not in the ult anyway. So, also javelin him mid charge is also effective. I don't know if it stops his charge or not, but, you know, the knockback is significant. Plus the damage is significant. Orisa is so good. She's just super fucking good. Pharaoh's kind of shit right now. Everyone moves so fast. I think it'll take, the projectile classes kind of take an L, other than, you know, Genji and Hanzo, because the projectiles move quite fast, but these are quite slow. So, you know, with everyone moving faster, basically, it becomes harder to get value out of these two. Not that they can't, but it's not as good as it used to be. Reaper is pretty damn good. I don't see him that often, but, you know, with like a Lucio, an Ana, a fucking Moira. You know, it could just pump him up while he just runs in there and like he Reaper has always countered basically every tank in the game. I think Orisa stands a solid chance against him now, and he's just like naturally like kind of tanky with like 250 health plus like lifesteal, so he can sustain himself a little bit. Like he doesn't need as much help from like supports. I mean like just like a little bit of help from them. So Moira can focus more on doing damage. Reaper can more focus on doing damage because he gets sustained for free. So they could just brawl, and it's all about the brawl. You'd think Reinhardt would be pretty good because of the brawl. Earthshatter is still very valuable. Plus, with less shields around and less people playing Reinhardt, you'd think like you'd get more shatters off, but people can just kind of run away from you more so than ever before. They can just kind of outspace you. So unless you have a Lucio to get in, you're gonna just get kited, and you're gonna get ran around, and nobody can pick up the slack for when your shield breaks. Like when your shield breaks, you're kind of in trouble. You get 2 fire strikes, and the fact that you can cancel your charge like whenever is super nice. Like you can make like some funny like pin knock off the map moments without trading your life, but he's definitely not what he used to be. I'd say Roadhog is about just as good. Roadhog gives less ult charge, and he's tankier, and it's just Roadhog. He's always been good at picking supports and DPS, and now he has less tanks to get through to achieve that goal, so he's pretty good. Sigma is kind of shit. I was unimpressed with Sigma gameplay. I honestly don't know if they even changed anything about him. They might have buffed his shield a little bit or something. I don't know, but Sigma needs something. He's another slow projectile class with his balls and his rock. Like, people can just fucking sidestep that shit. Like, a lot of his value was just charging flux and then doing a lot of burst damage. And burst damage is not nearly as important as it used to be. Yeah. It's all about the sustained DPS and, just getting in their face and just team shooting. So Sigma kind of takes an L because he doesn't really have anything to get people off of him. Soldier's S tier. Soldier's great. I don't know. It's crazy that he's so good. Like, I think he's always been this good, but he's just always had a hard time dealing with shields and whatnot, because shields were always just so abundant. You would always have a shield, like a main shield on your team, basically. And then, he would have he would, like, hold his own against, like, Hog and Ball. But, whatever. Sombra's also really good. Hacking reveals to you. What am I, patch nose? Fuck you. Fuck that shit. Sombra's really good. She's an assassin now, and she can be in perma-stealth and also hack shit, and EMP does damage, which is fucking stupid. Like, why does it do damage and disable abilities and interrupt? It doesn't disable for as long as it used to, but Sombra's quite good. The damage buff I don't believe applies to your teammates shooting the hack target, but it's still really good. You can one clip a fucking Roadhog with hack, I believe, where Tracer needs 2 clips, so let that sink in. Symmetra also takes an L. Everyone's moving faster, it's harder to track. You don't get the big advantage of charging up your big beam off of like a shield, because nobody runs shields. So Symmetra takes a pretty big L. Torb also takes a pretty big L. Actually, I haven't seen a lot of Tors, but I actually kind of have expectations that Torb will rise in prominence. People need to, I think once people just start putting their turrets in like corners and trying to like, you know, blindside people with them, like, you know, baiting engagements, and then once they engage, you know, that's another person that's fighting them, like, that they have to deal with. So it becomes like a 6v5. I think Torbjorn can be C to B tier, but uh, you know, I'm gonna put him on C out of speculation because I think he has untapped potential. Molten Core is not as valuable as it used to be, but I think the turret will be a lot more valuable just as like a sort of like bait tool, like area denial tool, like it was originally intended for. Tracer is pretty good, but I don't think she's as good as these guys in A tier. I think she's pretty solid, but you know, she's I don't know. It's really dependent on the Tracer's skill level. Like, you know, like I could see her being just as good as Genji because they're super sticky and divey. But you know, I haven't been too impressed with Tracer gameplay. I've been more impressed with, you know, everyone that I've ranked thus far. Um, Widowmaker, I'm gonna put in B tier, but honestly, you know, she varies anywhere from S to D tier. You know, an average Widowmaker is probably B tier value. There's less shields that she has to try and dodge and wait for an opening for. More just free range. I think a lot of maps don't have very good sniper positions for Widowmaker anymore. Like you'd have like a bunch of like really fucking stupid spots on like King's Row and shit and like Watchpoint Gibraltar, but like most of the new maps don't really have like egregious high ground like that for her to take advantage of. But you know, she can still get a lot of value done just by, you know, hanging back and getting free reign when there's a whole team fight going on. Monkey is pretty bad. I think he's probably better than the rest of these tanks, but he's not that good. His right click doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. His bubble is still quite valuable because it can block, you know, shatter. You know, it can give you a little bit of breathing room through like Soldier and Arisa and whatnot. Plus, like, you know, being able to like block like bullets with the bubble is always, you know, pretty helpful. But I don't know. It's just I haven't seen them be able to get a whole lot of value. Like as far as like dive tanks go, like you are way better off picking like Diva. Like, you know, you can just you can pretty much like Diva kind of fucks all of these other people in S tier for 3 seconds. And that's why she's good, because all of these guys are good. If all these guys were shit, you know, Diva would probably be like A tier, maybe B tier, but you know, just off of that, you know, Diva's so good. And, you know, Reinhardt or Winston, I'd say Arisa would win. I'd say Sombra would beat Winston. I'd say Soldier would beat Winston. Yeah, I mean, it depends on, you know. Can I really? I think he's C tier. He's not that good. I'd rather have Roadhog or Reinhardt, which is honestly really sad. I've always seen Winston as like he's been a concurrent, like him and Reinhardt have always been kind of viable. But Zarya is surprisingly more valuable than expected. I think she's also like a pub character. Like I think in comp you will not see Zarya players very much. You know, she's just a third DPS. But being able to cleanse Ana nades is also super valuable, and that's something that is pretty much almost completely unique to Zarya. Zen is surprisingly good. I've been liking Zen a lot. He feels a lot better. He kind of has he gives a nice needed damage boost against like Orisa and like Diva, because like they have the innate armor that makes them kind of hard to deal with for like all the other DPS. Plus, you know, you're gonna have a Doomfist, you're gonna have a Genji, you're gonna have, you know, all these characters. So being able to just like orb them and just not be able to worry about it for a couple seconds is pretty good. And also Transcendence is always going to be good. It's not nearly as good as it used to be, I feel like, because most of the alts you'd want to counter with Transcendence were tank alts, and there's one less tank alt to counter, so Zenyatta's not as good as he used to be, but he's also better than he's ever been, because discording their tank and having your teams go head to head, if their tank dies before your tank dies, if before your tank dies, you pretty much win the fight for free. So, in that nature, Zen is pretty good. And then Sojourn is not listed. Sojourn is S tier. She is probably the best DPS in the game. That's why she's in every game. And she's nuts. She's just straight nuts. She does 200 damage per fucking headshot with her railgun. It's dumb. So Sojourn goes in S tier, and that's the tier list. Yeah. Bye.